All right, everyone, good morning. We'll go ahead and jump in with Bud. Danielle, go ahead and start us off.
Good morning, Buddy. How are you?
I'm well, good morning.
Do you have any update on Kyle Freeland and when we might see him?
Kyle's doing great. He threw a bullpen session yesterday. You know, there's a high probability that we'll see him in a couple of days. We haven't announced anything yet, Danielle, but you know, there's high probability that you'll see him in New York. We'll have to make a player move, and I don't want to commit to that just yet. And I'm sure you can appreciate that. But Kyle's doing great. Arm feels good. Yesterday, I witnessed his bullpen session, and actually Peter Lambert as well. They both threw the ball very well.
It's good. And with John Gray, after his last start, when in his words he wanted to flush that one, what's he been like in the days since, and what are you looking for from him today?
You know, he's been fine. You know, John, I think from the first day of spring training has been pretty consistent in all levels of work, personality, confidence, demeanor, all those things that you look for with an athlete that, you hope each and every day brings a consistent performance. So he's been, these last 4 days in between starts, 5 days, he's been fine. Through the bullpen, he's ready to go today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Patrick?
Hi, buddy. I'm glad you brought up Peter Lambert. I don't think any of us have asked about him recently. Can you give us a sense? I know coming off Tommy John, it's always a little bit nebulous. Where is he, do you think, in his comeback from Tommy John?
Well, I think he's doing fine. As you know, Patrick, the Tommy John schedule is pretty detailed, right? And I think training staff, doctors, and the pitcher or position player follow, a pretty strict schedule of what has to be done from the time the surgery occurs until the time they get back on a major league mound. And it is followed to a T because of, the experience of what has happened over, 30, 40 years of Tommy John's, that they have this dialed in on the protocol of rehab and timelines of, from long toss to bullpens to all those things are sort of scripted out daily on a calendar. And Peter's hit every mark. So he's doing great in that regard. Now, where he is right now, yesterday he threw a bullpen session. He threw 15 pitches, took a little break, and threw 15 more pitches. And then he was finished. But at an intensity level that isn't 100%, but, Peter is, putting the work in and throwing to a level of intensity that is progress each and every time he takes it down. He's still months away from competitive action, but he's building strength. Mother Nature is taking its course, the healing process, and he's adhering to all the exercise, the strengthening processes that he goes through with Keith and the guys. So he's doing
great. Kind of a big picture question for you. And it's kind of a large question too, so maybe you can do it in a nutshell. What are your benchmarks, if you will, or what is your criteria for when you decide to pull a starter from a game? And I know that's a huge question, but what are the things you look for, even if a guy hasn't given up a ton of runs or even hits in this day and age, buddy? What are the things you look for?
Well, that's a fair question. And every game's different, but without going into, every single thing that goes into changing pitchers. Where to start with this one?
Yeah, I know.
For me, the critical eye of down, on field level, watching every pitch from pitch one until the very last pitch. Are they holding their stuff? Is the quality of the pitch still occurring? Is the sharpness of the secondary pitches still present? Are the hitters squaring the ball up, either in play or foul balls? Are the hard hit ball, the type of contact that's happening? And then around this as well are the, in between inning conversations with the pitcher that goes on, probably, from the, fifth inning on, if the pitch count is building. And then you turn to the other side. Is the bullpen rested? Are there pitchers that you're comfortable with bringing in to finish out the game based on their rest? The overlying, a lot of this, starter question, it's a long season. Are we pushing a guy too much too early to save an inning here or there, knowing that they're going to make 33, 34 starts, hopefully, as opposed to what they did last year, the inning count debate. Again, conversation, what he says about how he feels. A little bit of conversation too with the catcher. How's his stuff? Because the catcher knows better than anybody. What his stuff is like. Again, do you push a pitcher, past, just having a long inning? You have to really work hard to get through the fifth or the sixth or the seventh, and knowing there could be a physical component or an emotional component going back out again for that last inning. Do you does history tell you that past 90 pitches or 100 pitches, the guy's still going to maintain? Do you have to pinch hit for him? That comes into play in a national game. I mean, there's a few things there, but I mean, and Patrick, and if you want to ask me after every game, I'll probably give you the reasons why. Like, for instance, yesterday's game with Sensatella, 5 scoreless innings. But if you look at the ball strike ratio and really the quality of the stuff as he pitched the fourth and fifth, wasn't real sharp. And then the 2 hanging breaking balls that resulted in the first 2 guys that got on base were not good pitches. And I sensed that Sensa was tiring a little bit then in the double off the wall from Reddick. And then his last start, where he went 7 innings, threw some pitches in the 90s, even that start, stretched him a little bit, and that affects your next start. So, there's a lot of reasons, not just a couple, and they all sort of tie into each other. You make that decision.
Wow, that's a great answer. I appreciate it. Just a follow-up. Given the struggles of your bullpen, and I know you're trying to fight the right combination out there, does that skew your decisions sometimes? Do you think, geez, I'm going to push it a little bit more with the starter because right now X, Y, or Z are just not where they need to be in the bullpen?
Yeah, I don't know whether it skews it, but it does come into play for sure. When you're in those times when you have a lockdown bullpen, right? You have whoever they might be, 3 or 4 guys who are pitching well, and you feel really comfortable in how their performance is going to be. It does make it a lot easier for a manager to go to the bullpen knowing that you have reliever A, reliever B, reliever C, and you feel as though the game's going to be over or they're going to put up a 0. And, there's been times over my tenure here that, that's happened. We felt good about it, right? Even with Holland, leading the league in saves. Davis in 18, leading the league in saves. Even Daniel last year, having the year he had, and Yensi, the year he had. And early in the year, last year, albeit 60 games, you look at, what the relievers did those first, 20, 25 games, it was, pretty solid. We felt good about going to the bullpen. This year is a little different, for sure, just based on the inconsistency of the group. And I've said it repeatedly, 9 guys in the pen, we need 6, 7 guys throwing well, and we need, 2 guys maybe who are struggling to at some point to pull out of it, knowing that there's going to be a couple guys who are probably going to go the other way too. Because if you throw 55 to 70 games during the season, as a reliever who's here all year, they're not all going to be great. But you need the consistency of, weeks, hopefully a month, of guys really pitching well to really have a solid bullpen. But I guess to your question, yes, bullpen performance does it. I wouldn't say most of the time, but at times in a particular game does have an impact on your decision as it relates to the start.
Okay, and one more for me on this. Does Nan still ever call you or ask you post-game, buddy, what the heck you doing?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. He's a fan. And
okay.
She runs hot and cold night to night, right? She loves a guy one night, and the next night she's out.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Kevin Henry.
It's hard to follow that one, buddy. I got to be honest with you.
Well, hey, listen, a little levity on Sunday morning, it's a good thing.
Well, I just want to ask, so tomorrow will mark the first game in an Eastern time zone since July of 2019.
Wow.
Will that impact any scheduling, prep, anything like that than it would if it was just a normal 2020 season?
I don't think so, Kevin. I think that, again, guys are, on the mental side, been doing this for a long time. Well, maybe not a lot of our guys for a long time, but it shouldn't really impact a great deal. I mean, we're, even though it's a 2-hour time change, it's not like, we're on the West Coast or, some of the West Coast teams going east. It shouldn't. We're going to get into New York at a decent hour at night. The guys will be able to rest. I mean, the guys got, rest last night with the day game on this day. So it shouldn't really impact it. It's weird going to, St. Louis, haven't been there a couple of years. The whole, pandemic has sort of changed some things. But, things are becoming really for us more normal. And that's, guys are starting to feel that normalcy.
Thanks, buddy.
Do you have anything else for Buddy this morning? Okay, thank you, Buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you post game.